This is a good time to chuckle. So, like that. Genital, forehead, showing you that the material world at the belly, all of its influence is then influencing this region. The heavenly emanation and the power of the soul is trying to influence the upper quadrant. This is the star and the two pyramids. This is the secret of 3 and 3, the 2 threes. If we can balance the threes, they become 6, wow, wadud. And the power of 6, which represents love. I think 6 on the periodic table is oxygen, and love is like oxygen. It means these realities are teaching us that if we live that material world, this is going to be fiery and bring out a fiery characteristic, because its power is ignorance, anger, and fire. This is ignorance. Glasses. It's a secret, you can't see it until I show it. It's good, we have lots of time, so we can take it nice and easy. This is religion, faith, and moral excellence. Okay. So negative energy moving, and it's by its nature is fiery and still not yet under control, like a wild forest fire moving up. Its first influence onto the physicality is to keep the physicality ignorant. Yeah, that's what you got it? We talked about last night, the other night, huh? The ignorance and anger. When we focus on it, and keep focusing on it, it opens many different understandings on how everything is related, and how Sufism opens up the understanding of our physiology. Who knows himself will know his Lord. So the first level of knowing is that what is this vehicle? Because this is not your reality. This is a car that you were given in this material world, your body, your form. That's not who you are. Your soul is ancient. But you have to know this car that you were given. How does it operate? How does it function? How do I put fuel in it? How do I use it and drive it so that it doesn't drive me? So the reversal of the program. So when this energy is hitting the two legs and moving up, its first influence is ignorance. Make people to be ignorant. And this is the information age. Like no other time in our history, we have access to information. The divine has opened up. What you would have to travel the world to understand, you have through the internet. You can type anything and access any library in the world and pull out information, because it's a divine gift against the tremendous amount of ignorance. You would imagine, with all this divine knowledge that's being exposed, why are people so ignorant now? We're at the most ignorant time in our creation. That whatever is said to us is sort of blindly listened to and no research done into it. We don't understand ourselves and how we function anymore. So this ignorance starts to breed. Develop. What does it develop is anger. And so we are a very angry humanity right now. And we're not talking about Canada, we're talking about worldwide. We're talking about all of humanity is tremendously ignorant. Every religion on earth is ignorant. Every religion on earth is angry, coming up with all sorts of crazy verdicts against their own people, against other people. Unbelievable amount of ignorance and anger, and its result is what? Fire. So they're burning and killing and maiming each other without the slightest regard of human life. Mawlana Shaykh says the value of human life is about 23 cents, the price of a bullet. And that's all people think is the value. And even that they don't want to spend, so they try to recycle bullets. It means that this ignorance has overwhelmed humanity, has developed anger, and the result of that is a fire. So then this fire is going to be violence and excessive sexual desires, which again becomes the out of control pornography and all of what humanity is suffering. So showing us that this energy is moving, and it has an effect on the physicality. It makes us to not want to learn or understand anything. And as soon as you don't learn and you stop your learning process, you become angry because you don't understand what's happening in this world. You feel like you're in the dark and bumping into everything. Then making us to be more and more fiery. That the divine is showing us there is a solution to that difficulty. And that's going to be the power of the soul and the heavenly emanation that's coming on. That's the importance of the story of Adam. Because Adam is a continuous event. Because Adam was in heavens. And then we say tanzila, it started to descend. Adam from heaven means he starts to descend to where? To earth filled with shayateen, with negative energy. And their battle began. As soon as he had children, Abel and Cain became influenced and they struggled. It means that reality is always happening. Adam is the heavenly emanation. So there's always a heavenly emanation coming onto you from heaven. And coming on and trying to influence your life. And your life already on earth is going to fight that. So no, we want to do these material things and we don't believe that this is going to happen. That if we go out and play all day long in Las Vegas, we're not going to be ignorant. Yes, you're going to be ignorant, then you're going to be angry, and then you're going to be very fiery and very violent and very angry. So the heavenly emanation is then pouring upon us. And the first part, what they call religion, and the importance of a faith, of a practice, whatever you call religion. That you have a belief in the divine. You have a set of rules of what you can and cannot do. And they can't be rules that are constantly modified. That, okay, everybody thinks it's okay to slap people, so today I'll make a part of my religion that it's okay to slap people. It has to be a divinely based set of rules that don't keep changing, that tell us exactly what's right and wrong for ourselves, for our family, for our community. That applies the physical discipline onto the body. Oh, I can't do that with my body. It's not right. Even if 9 people in the room are doing it, we have to have a discipline that says, I cannot do it. Because constantly modifying that part we call religion then we'll find ourselves in all sorts of different directions. So then the first heavenly emanation that comes is that use a set of divine rules, whatever they are, to govern our physical life. And as we start to govern that physical life, because that religion is the opposite of ignorance. Because it's like a manual. So that's why if you read any of these ancient texts, it's like telling you about yourself. And all these masters, what they went through to reach that reality, it conquers ignorance. Every book of wisdom that you read, regardless of who wrote it, means there has to be an ability to extract wisdom from anything you read. And it gives you an insight. Oh, I was ignorant about that. And then that writer is writing and showing us that these are the different things that we're conquering. We start to conquer ignorance when we study about ourselves and how to discipline ourselves, our family, our community. As a result of that struggle, it builds faith. Faith is not something physical. Faith has to do with the soul now. That once you apply the physical disciplines, that I can't harm myself, I can't harm my neighbors, I can't harm anybody. Now the power of the soul is growing. Because the soul starts to agree, yes you can't. Once you start to discipline yourself, the soul like a bird in a cage. If the physicality is empowered, it makes it like a solid cage. As the physicality diminishes in its power and has more discipline, the soul, is that bird, begins to move out of the cage. The bars are very narrow and far between, and the bird can go and come as it pleases. It means it starts to use its influence, becomes the station of faith. It believes in the divine and respects the law and order of the divine, believes in all angels and the unseen, that this space is full. 100 years ago, you said that, and it took a lot of imagination to believe. But science tells us it has to be full. Why? Your glass of water is filled with beings. That's why if they take your water and look at it with a microscope, you find endless creation in that. And as strong as you turn that microscope on, they find creation on top of the creation. They find a little bug, then they zoom in, and they find another bug on the bug. Because Allah al-Khaliq, Allah is the creator. You cannot go somewhere where He's not there. So wherever you look on creation, there has to be more creation. So that's inward in the water. What do you think outward? There has to be endless creation. So then belief in that creation, belief and respect for the angels and different spiritual beings, belief in all the prophets and all the messengers and all the wise men who have come and delivered, sacrificed their life to deliver this hope and the message of these realities for us, and then believe in destiny, that things have been written. This is not a life of sort of, what do you call it? Chances? The term? Just sort of random events. Everything's been written. Not just random events where you go out and God reacts, and you do something and God reacts. Things have been written. There's a deep understanding in destiny. You understand from a molecular level, atomic level, that for you to be in this environment and me to be in this environment, at our atoms, we're starting to break down towards what we call the fana, annihilation. The annihilation is that forget about the world of form and for a moment think about the world of atoms. For my atoms to be here and your atoms to be here, our electrons are spinning at a tremendous rate of speed. How come they're not colliding? If everything was random, then somebody would walk through the door and we would explode because the atoms collided. So then Allah Azza wa Jal, the Divine, is saying that everything is in an orbit. Everything is on a track, moving exactly how it has been written and programmed. So belief in that destiny, understanding that destiny, and believing in accountability, judgment, that we are accountable for our actions. And someone will call us to what we've done. If we don't see it now, at some point in our lives, we're going to feel it or see it. Means all of that then is the ocean of faith. And when we develop faith, it's the exact opposite of anger. Faith extinguishes anger. Again, that then tells us we can judge ourselves and our self-realization. Do we find ourselves to be ignorant? Then we need more understanding of ourselves. Do we find ourselves to be quickly angered and stay angry? Then we need to build our faith. And then that's knowledge of this is where the sheikhs are giving different recitations. It means Al-Hadi, the zikr of Hadi, the guide, the guide, the guide. The zikr of Allah for faith, to extinguish that fire. Means all these different realities start to open and show us that faith is going to conquer that anger. It's going to bring it down like water onto the fire. Then you see the two poles of our reality. If we reach to that perfection, we have discipline, we have faith, is going to open moral excellence. Means the third eye. These people who are claiming to open the third eye, the process of opening that eye, firasal, the ability to see what people can't see, in the contemplating and using spiritual vision and opening the eye of the heart, which will be moving through that forehead. Means that's the apex of our spiritual growth. So Islam, iman, ihsan, the state of moral excellence, it is the exact opposite of the state of fire. And the more you reach towards moral excellence, you will extinguish the fire in your being. You extinguish the fire of your being, and instead of being an angry creation, the fire becomes the fire of love. That becomes the shirt. The shirt is showing that the heart for downward is a heart now based off of love. It's no longer a triangle and love of the material world. And then the power of the soul, all of that representing that divine fire. Means that at the state of perfection, when the soul and our lower desire is locked, it becomes a star. And that's why it has 6 points, and this is the secret of a star. But a star, they say, well, how come you don't draw it as a light? But the reality of a star is it's a fire. The sun is a fire. It emits light, but its essence is fire. So instead of having fire for the material world and being angry, you develop the perfection and perfection of character of bringing in your issues and keeping them to yourself. Not correcting anything, but correcting ourselves. Take all of our life issues and all of the things that happen to us and bring them inside. Not outside to explode on everybody. And when you bring inside, because you're not trying to explode anymore. Anger is an explosion like a volcano. And a volcano destroys everyone. Because lava just pours on everything and makes everybody to be destroyed. But the fire of all of our issues, it doesn't matter what the issue is, we can all imagine our life issues, is to bring it inside. And internalize that issue and turn it over to the divine. That it wasn't fair what happened. It wasn't fair what this person said. It wasn't fair what work brought to me and whatever life dealt me. I cannot deal with it. I'm upset with it. And cry to your Lord. Ask for His mercy and His intervention. Because then is a training for us in which direction to resolve our issue. We cannot resolve things from hand to hand and beat on people, pounce on people. Internalize it, bring it inside, and cry towards the divine and saying, I can't deal with that. That was extreme, that was hard, that crushed me. Then in that love, we ascend. Because the divine takes it, and that explosion becomes our upward thrust. Because that rocket is shooting down, and the soul is elevating. Because it didn't harm anyone. It just harmed myself. And then the divine starts to teach us in our meditation, you deserved what you got.